Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the Freud's personality theory, which is structured into three parts: the ID, ego, and the superego. First, let us know what is personality. Personality is defined as a distinctive patterns of ideas, feelings, and actions. To put it another way, personality includes one's opinion, mood, and attitude, which are often expressed in interaction with other people. In fact, from the Latin word itself, which is persona, it refers to a mask worn to project or disguise different roles when in front of others. It is believed that personality remains consistent throughout life.
According to Sigmund Freud, human personality is complex and has more than a single component. It involves factors such as instinctual drives, unconscious process, and early childhood influences. In his famous psychoanalytic theory, Freud states that personality is composed of three elements known as the id, the ego, and the superego. These elements are also known as the psyche, and it works together to create complex human behaviors. However, these are not parts of the brain or in any way physical. It is a system.
The ID. The ID is the primitive and instinctual part of the mind that contains sexual and aggressive drives and hidden memories. According to Freud, the ID is the source of all psychic energy, making it the primary component of personality. The ID is the only component of personality that is present from birth. This aspect of personality is entirely unconscious and includes instinctive and primitive behaviors. The ID operates on the pleasure principle, which is the idea that every wishful impulse should be satisfied immediately, regardless of the consequences. When the ID achieves its demands, we experience pleasure. When it is denied, we experience unpleasure or tension. In simple terms, the ID is the component of the mind that reacts quickly to a person's fundamental wants, needs, and desires. For example, if a person is thirsty or hungry, it will quickly eat or drink to satisfy those needs. The ID is critical early in life because it guarantees that an infant's requirements are satisfied. If the newborn is hungry or uncomfortable, they will cry until the needs of the ID are met. Consider attempting to persuade a baby to wait until noon to take their meal. Because the other components of personality are not yet there, the newborn baby will cry until these requirements are met.
Next is the ego. It is expressed as the reality principle. It satisfies the if desires, however, in the most reasonable way, in an appropriate time and place. Like the id, it also seeks pleasure, but it must appear as realistic. It has no interest in what is right or wrong, rather, it just maximizes pleasure without getting into trouble. The ego functions the conscious mind, the preconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. Sigmund Freud described the id and ego's relationship as when riding a horse. The id is the horse and the ego as the rider. As you may observe, the horse provides motion, while the rider provides guidance and direction. An example of the ego would be imagining if you're in a meeting and you find yourself hungry. The id will tell you to exit the meeting boldly and get the snack while the meeting is not yet finished, but the ego will prevent and guide you to sit quietly and wait for the meeting to end.
The superego. According to Freud, the superego begins to emerge at around age of 5. The superego holds the internalized moral standards and ideals that we acquire from our parents and society. Our sense of right and wrong. The superego provides guidelines for making judgments.
There are two parts of the superego. First is the conscience, where these are information that are viewed bad by the society. These are behaviors that are forbidden that will lead to consequences and a feeling of guilt. Second would be the ego ideal or the ideal self, which is where it includes the ego, what aspires to be.
The superego is in charge of rectifying a person's action. It also leads to an understanding of what is good and wrong. This assists us in making sound decisions. For example, Suppose you're going to be late for a meeting and you find yourself in the middle of the city, about to cross the pedestrian lane, and you notice the stoplight turning red. And your consciousness, consider whether crossing the path to get to your destination will allow you to arrive on time. However, your brain is debating whether this conduct is correct or incorrect because crossing may result in an accident.
It's vital to remember that the id, ego, and superego are not three different entities with clearly defined boundaries while discussing them. These factors are dynamic and constantly interact to shape a person's overall personality and conduct.